Hi, my name is Beth Armstrong, and today I'm going to talk to you about a good death with a dignified after death and what we can do as veterinary professionals to provide good service to our pet parents. So, this is a picture to kind of show an image of what veterinary professionals looked like maybe 100 years ago, of what our service provided to pet parents. And most of our pets that we took care of at that time were really large animals. And we might have had what we can see here is just a few dogs, but that service has kind of changed over the last 100 years. Right now, what we're seeing is a lot more small animals and what we consider as part of our family. And so, how can we change our service for aftercare that really helps really provide a great service for what we consider our family members? And we've changed really a lot of our medical services, but we haven't really paid attention to the aftercare aspect to make sure that we're keeping up with that medical service aspect. So what we need to kind of look at is what is our percentage of current pet owners? What generation are we really servicing? And what can we do to make sure that we're actually providing a great service to the generation that we see? So as we can see, we are currently servicing a lot of the millennial group, some of our Gen X group and Gen Z group is kind of making up the majority of our pet parents. We do still have some baby boomers out there, and actually just about 2% of our builder group. So the majority of the people that we are servicing are really people who know what we see on social media. They know how to use computer and technology. And so, can we actually provide things to them that kind of move towards that technology and provide a better service for them? So, do these people really feel like pets are part of their family? And so, actually, we've been able to do a type of survey to see that. So, 47% of people feel that pets are part of their family, but not really like a child. And then 48% feel that they are part of family and that they feel like they are a child. And then 5% actually say that they're not part of the family. So again, if they're part of a family, whether or not that they are a child to them or not a child to them, how do we memorialize pets when they have been lost that they are part of that family as well? Okay. So in a survey, we also wanted to look at are they shared in a household as well with children and everything as well? So as we can see, we can actually see that there are a lot of pets in households with children, and they're also shared in households with other pets, right? And so how does that change with how we also provide our services in aftercare? So, how do we know what is ethical, right? So, in aftercare services, do we provide an ethical service as veterinary professionals, right? So, that question is really, are we giving all of the information to pet parents that we truly know already? And this is a question that we say, hey, have we actually gone to our care centers to see ourselves what they're currently doing so that we can provide the best information possible? And from what I have heard from a lot of people, there are a lot of people that have actually not been to those care centers to know what's truly happening at those care centers. Do we refer people to care centers that they really want to be able to go to? Do we actually provide services and give information that we think that people might want? Or do we recommend services that we feel or we have biases to? So might need to ask these questions to pet parents to see what they might want to do for their pets. And then there are questions of, is it ethical for veterinary professionals to charge additional money for care for these cremation services or burials or other things that they aren't actually providing those services for. So considerations. What does that pricing look like? Are we providing transparency? And what are those additional options? So recommendations for that, answering pet parent questions. What questions do they actually have? And can we answer those questions for them? If we aren't able to answer those questions, is there someone available to answer those questions? By partnering with your care center and having them answer those questions, that's extremely helpful. Remember, those care centers are experts in what they do. Using dignity cadaver bags. There are amazing ways that we can dignify pets after they have left. And so we don't have to actually put them in what is considered looking like a trash bag. Pet parents actually want them in those dignity bags. So let's go ahead and use them. Pet parents can actually even decorate those bags, and it can be super helpful for kids to be able to say goodbye by actually coloring those bags and doing nice things. Properly labeling pets immediately. This way it decreases the chances of accidentally mislabeling. Providing emotional assistance support to pet parents. There are actually a lot of different assistant programs for pet parents, and even maybe one of your care centers to provide this as a free service. Demonstrating high standards of handling bodies at all times, making sure that we are handling pets appropriately all the time, not placing them on the ground, making sure they go into freezers appropriately, and just demonstrating that high standard as if this was your own pet. And partnering with accredited care centers. There are care centers out there that have high standards and are accredited centers themselves, and making sure that you're touring each care center so that you know exactly what they're doing and that you can answer those questions that pet parents ask. So what do we look for, in our care centers? Respectful handling, professional staff, after-hours service, cremains returned quickly, right? We want to make sure that they're returned in maybe 72 hours. If they're returned in 24 hours, we might want to question, how are they actually returned in 24 hours? If they're returned in 24 hours, that starts to create some doubt in our mind. It's hard to be able to return cremains in 24 hours to know that they're actually going to be that pet. But if they're returned in 72 hours or even sometimes 48 hours, we know that, hey, they're able to get that paw print done if that was done, and that they're able to get those cremations done and returned back. 24 hours is a little fast. Cremations returned anywhere is kind of nice because we're able to either return back to the hospital, they could potentially be shipped to that pet parent and make a nice and smooth process for those pet parents. Reasonable cost to pet parents as well, so that we're not overcharging. And providing nice urns to pet parents, that we have certain types of complimentary urns available, whether or not it's a few different options, and then also upgraded urns so that they can choose what they would like. And then we're always willing to be able to go above and beyond to make it right for that pet parent. That's always a great way to have a partnership with a care center. Now, some cons would be lack of professionalism, limited availability, and that care centers are profit driven, that they're unwilling to work with you because they need to make that additional money. So care center concerns with veterinary professionals, okay? Again, it's really important to have a good partnership with your care center. So care centers have had concerns as well. And so here are the concerns that we have to think of on our level so that we make sure that we're working well with those care centers. So upcharging services. Is this something that we need to do as veterinary professionals? Lack of transparency, choosing price over quality care, poor record keeping, veterinary focused, blocking care centers, using trash bags. Again, let's use things that are dignified within our veterinary practice. Blame game. We don't need to blame each other. We just need to be able to work with each other. Lack of understanding. Again, this is where touring the care centers and understanding each other's profession is so important. Lack of pre-planning. Just like in the human field, we should start pre-planning a little bit better so that we can be able to provide the best service possible. Offering only one earn option to the pet parent. If our care centers are offering several earn options for that pet parent, we should be able to provide those earn options just as easily. It makes our care center look like they don't care. So if we're able to provide what our care center is offering, it's going to make us all look really good. Not passing savings to pet parents. If our care center is offering discounts to that pet parent and we don't offer those discounts to them, it makes everyone look bad. So let's offer that savings as well. So what is cremation? Okay, we have private cremation. Private cremation actually means that that pet is going into that retort all by themselves, and they're going to be able to get all cremains back to that pet parent. Individual cremation means that there's actually a divider in the same retort, and you're going to get the cremains back in from that divided area. You can also have it in certain areas where there's just space in between that pet and not a divider. But typically, you'll actually see where you'll just have a divider. Communal cremation is where we'll have all pets together and they're going to be cremated together. You're not going to actually get any cremains back. And typically, with the cremains, they'll be spread in a nice area, whether it's going to be on a farmland or in a prairie, or sometimes we actually have spread in on a reef in the ocean. So the International Association of Pet Crematories and Cemeteries was founded in 1971 in West Chicago by Pat Blosser. This is where we actually have standards of ethics and pet aftercare profession. This is very important to be able to look up the cremation or the crematories that you're actually working with and make sure that they are actually associated and accredited through this. You're actually able to get certifications through this program. And there's a registered pet funeral director. You can become a crematory operator and a pet bereavement certification as well. So now we'll talk about what do pet parents want, okay? So they actually would like careful pet handling. This has been a basic study. They would like memorial options, help with pre-planning, and having wishes carefully and thoughtfully fulfilled with transparency. Typically, over time, veterinarians have helped through these options, but in most recent times, our care centers have been able to help with these options as well, just like funeral homes for humans. So in human field, it's handled by a company, whether it's a funeral home or anything like that. Hospitals do not make a profit. Hospitals do not promote any funeral homes or cremation services. Everything is handled through a third party. In the veterinary space, veterinarians are provided a wholesale pricing. And then from there, they're able to mark up their pricing how they would like. There's an option to match pricing or make a profit. There's disposal of cremains as they wish. And the word disposal is used in a lot of veterinary practice acts. Lock into one company over another, meaning the veterinary hospital uses one cremation service and that's it. Unless the pet parent knows of a crematorium that they would like to work with, they typically are using what the veterinarian has recommended or uses. There's no requirement for transparency, meaning the care center does not have to disclose anything to the veterinary practice unless the veterinarian wants to go to that cremation place and see for themselves or anyone from the veterinary practice. They perform cremations themselves as well. So the veterinarian can perform cremations at their hospital if they would like, or they can obviously use a care center. So the word disposal, like I talked about, the AVMA even has the word disposal within their own guidelines of euthanasia that was published in 2020. So the position of the AVMA in July 2017 of handling of companion animal remains. So again, they encourage pre-planning. We need to understand our legal restrictions and handling cremains with sensitivity. We also need to use trustworthy providers, which again, how do we know what a trustworthy provider is if we don't actually see what that provider looks like and what they do in their practice? Many times, a veterinarian is using whoever their friend is using, or maybe the care center is one of their own friends, or they have Thanksgiving dinner with each other. So it's not necessarily a trustworthy provider. It might just be someone they know. They have to have adequate containment of remains and ensure proper services have been carried out as requested. So this is kind of an interesting study that was done. It actually was done through a law school that they it did a case study. And essentially, it's called the $1 Million Retriever. So the dog's name was Molly. All of this is fictional, right? But it could potentially happen. So Molly was a 12-year-old golden doodle. She was a therapy dog who was diagnosed with cancer and was being euthanized. And so the doctor went over euthanasia paperwork and aftercare with urn selection. Essentially, they used the care center that the doctor provided, and Molly was supposed to have a private cremation. However, the care center did a mass cremation and the pet was disposed with lack of integrity, but the care center provided essentially a scoop of cremains to the pet parent back. Okay. Now the pet parent found out later on that Molly was not really Molly that she got back. And so she sued the doctor and the care center for lack of transparency and that essentially she didn't get her dog back. So why is this a problem, right? There are a few laws that regulate cremation for pets, especially. There was a lack of transparency, and many providers, again, do not seek the risks that all parties are potentially liable, right? So the issues here was negligence and that there were damages. There's damages for this pet parent. She didn't get her dog back. So the takeaways here is that there's value, there's liability, we have to have protection and involvement. So what ended up happening was that they found they had 2 jury selections. They found that the care center was liable by $1 million. Okay. And that because this doctor did not upcharge the cremation, he was found that he was not liable. However, if the doctor upcharged the cremation, he was going to be liable for $50,000. So the big point to this is that there are a lot of veterinary hospitals that do upcharge their cremation. And if something was to go wrong, if there were negligence or any type of damage, something went wrong, and that we upcharge our cremation prices, we could be found liable. And so it is very, very important that if something goes wrong with that cremation and we have upcharged a price and we had not really anything to do with it, right? We are still liable for it. So when we're talking about, again, the quote unquote disposing of pets, there's a lot of different ways that we dispose of pets, but are they all correct? Right? And the problem is that we don't know. We don't know sometimes of what that means. So sometimes you'll see that we have here in a landfill, we have our cremation services. right? With all different memorial products. We have burial. We have memorial items, right? This is actually a memorial item that there's only 5 in the world. And there's a cemetery. And then here is the only one in the world. That's a memorial item too. And so these are things that we can actually say, what would you rather see? What would you be proud of, right? What would you love to be able to see? This is a cemetery that's almost 100 years old, a pet cemetery that's almost 100 years old. So what would we love to be able to do to memorialize our pet? So areas for veterinary improvement. Okay. So transparency. How can we be transparent? Offering all local company information. Okay. So we can offer that information to people if they don't know. Sharing with clients why one crematory is chosen over another. So why did you guys choose that one? Did you go there? Did you see it? Why do you like that one? Profit information shared. Okay. Why are you charging that? Or don't charge additional. Don't make money off of that. Right? You can charge it in some other way, whether it's euthanasia. Okay. Where and how pets are being stored. Share that information. Okay. Make sure that it looks good. Let clients know how packaging looks like. Okay. We can share how our packaging looks in the aftercare aspect. Okay. You can share how the dignity bag looks, where communal remains are located. Okay. People don't want their ashes back. That's fine, but share with them where they're going. Show them pictures. You can show them, that they can visit there, because then they feel like that's a good place that they are allowing that to go. And that's good. Communication, open dialogue with clients earlier so that they have really good, that they can plan ahead. Determining aftercare prior to death. Better understanding of crematory availability during the after hours. Okay. Do they have after hours available? Are they able to reach them? Give them that information. They may not need to use it, but just in case they do. Establishing a timeline for cremain turnaround. Okay. So that they know, so they're not worried that something might have happened. Software record keeping. Okay. Making sure that just like your medical records, you're able to keep that software record keeping really good. Learning about each service offered by the crematory. Okay. So if they offer cremation, that's great. But do they offer other things too? They might offer, visitation and viewing. They might offer burial. What does that look like? How do you organize that? Do they offer what we call spending time? That might help your hospital if you know those things. Our cremation place offers spending time, which is they can organize so that it can open up the availability to your hospital so that you don't have to have people spend time with their pets at your location, that they can actually do it at our care center. And then it doesn't tie up your clients your exam room and your staff. But they can do that at the care center. And there's no charge to that. Pricing, better alignment with the pricing. Okay. Hold to retail amount. Okay. So making sure, again, can you put to making your profit margin where it's in the euthanasia and not necessarily in the cremation, or just have them work with cremation strictly at the care center level. And that way you don't have to worry about the liability. Base crematory selection on service rather than pricing. Okay. So, a lot of people think about, okay, I want to pick a cremation service that's the cheapest. Okay. Remember, sometimes you get what you pay for. Okay. So work with a cremation place and say, hey, you know what? Like, I just want to pick based on the service. There are places that will say, you know what? Let's actually pick something that might work best for you. We can put together a package. Okay. Maybe there's a way that you don't have to pay for anything, and we'll just have pet parents work directly with us. Okay. That might work great for you. Timely payments, charge more for your veterinary service and your euthanasia, right? There's a lot of times that we don't charge enough for our euthanasia appointments and for everything that we're doing. It's barely even covering the cost of our drugs. Okay. So make sure that you're aligned on your euthanasia price. Okay. Private or communal. Make sure you have those options and you know those options. All right. A lot of times we're just offering that private or communal and not even doing individual because we make it so that it's an easy selection for pet parents. All right. Individual doesn't necessarily mean that we have to use it. Okay. Urn selection. Have nice urn selection for your pet parents so that they're able to get exactly what they'd like. Memorial items, have different memorial items. Everyone wants to memorialize their pets in different ways. So keep that open. Pet pickup times and locations. So make sure that those are available to them. Respectful presentation, of course, spending time, viewing, and visitation. Make sure that you give people enough time to make their selections, that they don't have to pick in the moment. It's so hard to make all of those decisions at once. So what is right is often forgotten by what is convenient, right? So sometimes we need to kind of change our approach to things. We've been doing the same thing for pet parents for a really long time, and it's convenient for us. And so maybe this approach is just not really working for pet parents anymore. And so if pets are considered part of the family, maybe we need to kind of think more on the human side and that they need to actually have some time to make the right decision for them and how they want to memorialize their pet. So our care centers and veterinary professional partnership. So before we used to have a B2B model, which was business to business model, meaning that pet parents chose right in the moment for memorial items. You had to pick right then and there. So we had our team go into the exam room and say, all right, I need you to pick, your urn selection. Do you want a private? Do you want a communal? Here's your urn options. Do you want a paw print? All of that. And they had to pick in the moment and they could barely even, you know, think about the fact that they were euthanizing their pet and had to make that decision. And then they had to make other hard decisions. And maybe later they regretted the decision of what urn they selected. Or maybe they were like, oh, I wish I would have gotten another paw print. You know, they have to pay directly to the veterinary hospital and they might have had limited selected items. Maybe that hospital didn't show them every single urn option that was available. The hospital is making a small profit on aftercare. Typically, the aftercare profit margin overall is about 1% max. Okay, so it's not really a huge profit for them, but they do make a little bit. If there are concerns from pet parents with aftercare service, the hospital does have liability since they facilitated that aftercare and they did make profit. Okay, so it does hold them liable, and that's a little scary. Okay. Now there's another model that they can choose at this point, which is kind of cool. So there's a business to client model or business to customer model. Okay. So the pet parents have the option to have 2 to 3 days to pick memorial items with the care center. Okay. So they get to work with the care center with their client care to pick options that they would like. They get to see all the products. They get to choose what they would like. They can go home that day after euthanasia or losing their pet, and they don't have to think in the moment of any of that stuff. On the veterinary end, no one has to go over any of those products ever again. They don't have to say, okay, well, here's the urns and all of that. They don't have to do that. Many times there are urns that are on back order or just not in stock and all of that. We don't know that in the veterinary hospital. But remember, our care center, they're experts in this. They know this stuff. And so by our pet parents being able to work with the care center, they're able to talk with them and help them with what's going to look good and what font is going to look good on a necklace and that type of thing. Okay. They pay directly to the care center. And there's an open catalog with a lot of different options. There's, again, no liability back to the hospital as the center takes full responsibility of all services, including if maybe a pet parent didn't pay for the cremation. The care center is fully responsible and still takes responsibility for that pet with cremation. All right. So why does it feel so hard for pet parents to make decisions right in the moment? Okay. So there's something called decision fatigue. All right. So they're overloaded by the number of decisions that a person needs to make in the moment. They don't know what to do. There's a choice overload when there's too many options available in that moment. So sometimes they just get overwhelmed. So again, the recommendation is to allow people more time to make those decisions. So there was a study done in the Veterinary Nurse magazine in February 2023 showing the likelihood of using potential sources of information after pet death and dying of aftercare, body care, of memorialization. And so where they're getting their information, right? So essentially, a lot of people are getting their information again from veterinarians, but they're still getting a lot of their information from the crematorium as well. Okay. But again, we have been doing it often from veterinarians for the longest time. So this could definitely be helpful if we give cemeteries and cremation places the opportunity to do that so that we can actually reduce that liability risk, make them the experts, and move that needle forward a little bit in our standard of care. So participants view the amount of input that they want from their veterinarian for the range of medical issues, okay? So how much input do they want? All right, so when we look at end of life issues, and aftercare issues. So how much input do they want from aftercare issues? It says here that they typically want input from their vet, but they mostly make the decisions themselves. All right. So this means that we don't need to have we don't need to have them make the decision in the moment. Okay. So they can have that additional time if they need it. So ways to let pet parents grieve. All right. There's a lot of different ways to make pet parents grieve. So again, we've been so used to the same thing over and over again, and we need to let pet parents grieve in their own particular ways. All right. So again, here's like our dignity bags. Okay. And we can have pet parents do a lot of different things. We can say, hey, if you'd like to color this even ahead of time, if you want to do this today, take your time here and this could be your final goodbye. We can absolutely do this. Okay. Typically we'll have these burned with that pet. So that could be kind of their final goodbye. They can write a letter. We love that. What we do is that anything, there's a lot of pet parents who want to burn toys or blankets or things to that nature. And unfortunately, we can't burn any toys or blankets and stuff like that because of the fact that we're regulated by the EPA. And we can't burn anything that could be potentially harmful for the environment. So with blankets and stuff, we don't really know what a lot of those things are made of. And so it can't be actually burned in those retorts. And so over time, those retorts can be ruined from certain things. And we also can't burn it because of the environment. So things that we can burn are things that are made out of organic material. So again, letters, flowers, stuff to that nature. So writing a letter is super, super nice. They can talk about whatever they would like, and it's super sweet. Other things too are like remembrance jewelry. So these are really cool because we're able to take that pet's picture of their nose or a picture of their paw print and then shrink it down and put it on a piece of jewelry. And it's super, super pretty. These pictures don't even do it justice of how gorgeous that these pieces come out to. They get on the back of the jewelry, they can put the name of the pet and stuff to that nature. So they're really, really nice. Other things that we can do, and I think I talked about a little bit ago, is that if you don't want to put your pet in an urn, you want to do something different, is that say that you are a snowbird or you live, close to the ocean. Maybe you've taken your animal to the beach very often. You might want to do something where you help preserve the reef. And so what you can do is take your pet's ashes and then put them into a reef ball. And so, if you want to make a plaque and put that there, you actually get the coordinates of where this reef ball is. And you can always, go to that area if you want to do some scuba diving and see that, or just at least know that it's actually giving back to the planet and you're able to know that your pet is restoring part of the reef. So it's a really cool option. There are some people who do like a freeze-dried thing of their pet too. So you can freeze dry your pet into a position that you would like. And so all of these pets here are actually freeze-dried and they look just like they normally would in their own regular position as well. So that is an option too. This is a really cool option as well. You can take a little bit of the cremains of your pets and you send it in to a company called Ever After. And they take those cremains and they break it down to a molecular level and then put it under a microscope with a lot of light. And then they take a digital image of it and then they place it onto a canvas. And then this is basically a nice little, essentially thumbprint of your pet. And it comes out into whatever colors scheme that it is. So this is a picture of this pet Tess, and they send it, it's a nice little artwork that people can put in their house and stuff like that. This is of another pet khaki, so same thing on artwork picture. So it's just a different way of being able to memorialize your pet that's just very unique. So what we know, ethically, veterinary teams are safest acting in the best interest of the pet and pet parent. Pet parents want options, especially now, especially the kind of pet parents that we have, in the generational form. So finding different ways that we might be able to memorialize their pets. There are a lot of cool things out there, and we want to trust those who are involved. Okay, so really looking into the care centers that we are providing services with. Veterinary professionals tend to share more of the positives about pet care centers than vice versa. So if you're seeing a lot of concerns with the care centers, then not necessarily saying that we need to change care centers, but really saying, hey, I need to do some more research. I need to go there and actually see what's going on. AVMA recommendations on aftercare is a good start, but we still have some work to do. So, um, you know, they need some updating, but let's start looking at those and making sure that we are following some of those things. Research suggests aftercare reform is necessary for many reasons. So let's not be practicing the way that we were 30, 40 years ago, but let's start updating some of our standards. If we're putting animals in what looks like trash bags, it's a good start to making sure we're using dignity bags at this point. In summary, the veterinary profession has changed significantly over the last 100 years, right? A lot of companion animals that we have and their family members at this point. We are providing services to multiple generations who consider these guys member as family. The veterinary profession must partner with providers, and we have to gain that information about these providers so that we can confidently say that they are providing the best service to our pet parents because we are liable if something goes wrong. Remember, consider moving to a business to consumer model, just to make sure that we aren't as liable, okay, from business to business model. It will help you in so many different ways too. All right. Understand pet parents memorialize and grieve in all different ways. And it's okay. We want them, this is a great healing process for them. New opportunities are to memorialize pets are out there, and we need to be able to find them for those pet parents. Working together to have dignified aftercare, and not just be an afterthought. This is important, and if we do it right, we're going to have pet parents coming back to us. This is the most important, ex- you know, exam and treatment and visit that you're going to have with these pet parents, more than the 15 years that you saw them before. If you have any questions or have any concerns or anything that you need, please never hesitate to reach out. I'm always available, and I'd be happy to talk to you. Thanks.